Hey guys, welcome back to EJC, Edward Jack Cycling. And in today's video, we will be discussing how to get faster at duathlons, as well as what I could have done better and what I did well at in my duathlon last week. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as a quick reminder of our Instagram page, at Edward Jack Cycling, all lowercase, and our Facebook page, at Edward Jack Nyman. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Let's get into it. When you first start off a duathlon, you typically start with a run. Now in my duathlon, I had a 0.9 mile sprint, a 10.5 mile bike ride, and then another 5K at the end of that. Starting at our 0.9 mile sprint, I started in the back of the line as I'm not a perfectly strong runner. I started running at the back of the line and I made my way up, passing the slower people in front of me with ease. I did not sprint at the very beginning of the race so I could save most of my energy. After I saved most of my energy towards the end of the first run, I sprinted into our loading area for our bicycles during our T1. During transition 1, T1, from our run to our bicycle ride, I made sure to lay out my stuff very well. I kept my bicycle on the rack, and then I also put my cycling shoes, which are my circuit road shoes, which I unboxed in my very first video. I highly recommend you go ahead and watch that. I kept those on the ground floor, along with my helmet on the front of my bicycle. During T1, I always make sure to put my helmet on first, as it is a major deduction and you can be disqualified if you do not have your helmet on when you are moving your bike. Then I put my shoes on with my BOA dials, which made it extremely quick. Also, a little downfall for that is I put my shoes on while I was not on my bike. So typically, people who are very good at duathlons and triathlons will keep their pedals on the bicycle itself. That way, it's super easy for them to just slide their foot in. I have not practiced that, and I will be practicing that for my next triathlon and duathlons in the future. Most people believe the cycling portion of a duathlon and a triathlon is the easiest portion, until you hit a headwind. During headwinds, you are typically not allowed to draft off of another person. Drafting is when one person is the lead in the group and you follow behind him, making it easier for you to pedal so you can regain speed while not having to pedal through a wind. Now that is very beneficial for your legs. That way, eventually, you can build back up your heart rate, you can relax, build back up your muscles, and then sprint to the end. During duathlons and triathlons, however, that is not allowed unless you are in a very high level or someone says otherwise. So I always recommend before you start your cycle portion to ask if drafting is allowed. The next thing is, when you first come out of the gates after your T1 on your cycle, make sure you're mounted before the line. That's a deduction or a disqualification if you do not mount before the line. Also, make sure you don't sprint straight off the line and lose all of your energy. Make sure that when you are cycling on the road that has been shut down by the authorities or a cycle path that has also been shut down, you are staying in your lane and making sure you are in your drop bars or in an aerodynamic position. Make sure you're in that position as it'll help with your energy as you're not typically allowed to draft. This will help with the wind resistance as well. And when the wind is on your back, it'll help push you through more aerodynamically, which will definitely increase your speed. It'll also make it so you are focused on staying in that exact little area so you don't have to worry about anything else other than if somebody's drafting behind you, which you should try and shake them after that. Transition number 2, otherwise known as T2. You must dismount your bicycle before you hit the line. If you do not, it is an immediate disqualification or a major time addition, which you definitely do not want. So make sure you brake, get off before the line, and stay out of other people's way as well. When you put your bike back on your mount, when you put your shoes on for during T2. You want to make sure your bike is out of the way of everyone else, as it is rude and also a deduction if you put your bike in someone else's area or in the way of someone else. First, you want to make sure you take off your shoes, and then your gloves if you have them on, and then your helmet. I always make sure the first thing I put on is my helmet and the last thing I take off is my helmet, just to be safe. Then you slip on your shoes and go out the race door onto your race section for your 5K. During your 5K, you want to make sure you're continually making a steady pace. You definitely do not want to start off by just sprinting straight off the bat. That's very dangerous to do, as you'll slow down eventually and you might have to walk, which is the last thing you want to do in any way, shape, or form. Make sure you're continuing a steady pace by maybe a quick sprint and then a slower jog, quick sprint, slower jog, or you can make a steady run through the entire thing, which I highly recommend. Now, for me, I made the mistake of going really hard off the bat and then having to do a slow jog the rest of the race, which highly made my time go way off the record, which is not something you want to happen to you. Here are some of the things you might want to bring to the duathlon with you. Of course, you want to make sure your bicycle is fully prepared before you leave, so I recommend taking your wheels off and doing a complete deep clean on your bicycle. That includes the brakes and the wheels. Then put it on your car mount or whatever you're going to be using to take it to the race. Some of the little items you might want to also bring are, of course, you want to bring your shoes. Now for me, I'm using my Nike Phantoms Flyknits. Now these are great because they have an elastic band in the front so that they can easily slip on and slip off during a triathlon and duathlon. Plus it's got great arch support. You always want to make sure you are bringing your water bottle with you. Now, I always make sure my water bottle matches my bicycle, but you don't need to do that. If your water bottle has a little nozzle at the front, then make sure it's locked in the position where you can't get water out. Make sure it's in the unlocked position. You might be worried about it spilling, but that's totally okay, as you want to make sure it's super easy for you to just take a quick sip out of. The next thing is, you must have a bicycle helmet to enter the race no matter what. So make sure you bring that along with you. You definitely want to bring cycling gloves in case it's going to be a longer ride. Typically they're 25 miles. This one was only 10.5, so I did not wear my cycling gloves. But if you would like some summer gloves, I have a full review over these Trek summer gloves. Specifically for summer, that is. Also, make sure you're bringing at least 2 pairs of socks and 1 long pair of socks, just in case the weather turns for the worst and it gets cold on your feet. Always make sure, if you're going to be sweating a lot because it's very hot out, to wear a running specific shirt. This is one of my running shirts. It is a great buy if you don't already have one. Fully recommend it. Another thing, if the weather turns bad, is always make sure you're bringing a shirt for the rain. Now this is my CycleWorks wet weather jersey that is great for the snow, the wind, the rain, anything of that sort. And I also recommend you bring a bicycle tire pump. Just in case you get a flat, you can put it in your station. It's just going to save you a lot of time in case you break something. But also remember that there are a lot of people there for the event that will also have bike pumps to help you out. That pretty much concludes everything that you might want to bring to the race with you. I fully recommend you bring your bicycle pants as well, as that is what I wore the entire race. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Just a quick reminder of our Instagram channel, @EdwardJackCycling, all lowercase, and our Facebook page, @EdwardJackNyman. I hope you enjoyed today's video. EJC, out.